this week. Start out, soccer is at Temple on Thursday, and then they come back home and play Memphis. That's a really big match. Memphis is one of the traditional powers in the conference. Men's cross country is up in Stillwater at the Cowboy Jamboree on Friday. Volleyball is Friday and Sunday at home. They have Temple on Friday night, and then Tulsa on Sunday. Swimming and diving opens their season this weekend. They're in Tallahassee at the Seminole Fall Classic. And I know you probably saw it, but just in case, we are a 6 o'clock kickoff next Saturday with Florida Atlantic. And then you probably also saw the official news today that we are now taking over as the official host school for the men's basketball regional at the end of March. So nice busy month when we get to that point of the year. So, and as you can see, we've got Blake Banish and we've got Q Jack, Quinn Jackson today. And we'll begin here momentarily.
First official practice today.
Most importantly, today is the first men's basketball practice. I know Tim sent you something on that, but check with Tim if you need anything else about that. I had it written down. You made the cut.
And playing NFL wins. And we just take random games and the Broncos throw a pass and the cat catches the pass. Oh, man. I wrote about his son. So that wasn't funny.
Apologies, everyone. I just told them.
I think that means you're going.
No one wants to hear. Oh, yeah, he's just throwing a shirt.
I'm sorry. Dictated my schedule a long time, so I'm sorry. Apologize. I do. I hate that. Am I good? Can I just step here? You are.
Ready to go.
All right. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. How are we? Move that away a little bit. I'm good. I'm good. I mean, it's 2 football games in 5 days, and getting 2 wins is always good for the soul, good for the program, right? Good for our guys. So, yeah, good. We got a huge challenge ahead of this week. But, reflecting on where we are and direction we're going, I'm pleased and excited to know that hey, we got a lot of room to grow. And this week will be another test towards that. Yeah.
How much does having that extra day on the front end of playing a quality opponent on the road this week help?
I think it helps a little bit. Maybe not as much as you'd like because you're going on the road. If we had a home game, I'd feel like there's a little bigger advantage there. And the fact that Navy's coming off a bye week, a complete bye week, right? So we got a day or 2 extra in rest. Possibly they got a whole week's rest. So it probably doesn't yield us the advantage as maybe it would in a normal situation. But for our guys, I think we got back really late. I think the flight landed somewhere around 3:50, 4 o'clock. Times they close up shop, get to their beds. It's 5 o'clock. They go to class on Friday. All right, so that kind of burns that day. We had a lift and a rehab, and then Saturday they were off, and we're back at work on Sunday. So watching our guys Sunday at practice, and then now getting into the week, I would tell you that a little bit extra time certainly helped, right? Mentally, it will help physically coming off what I thought was a physical game in Charlotte. So it does help. You didn't gain the advantage that you would hope in that situation just because Navy had their bye week before it.
And then when it comes to Navy, how often have you matched up with another team running some variation of the option? And what does that look like?
Yeah, a good handful of times. So it won't be my first rodeo at it. Through the different stops, right there have been other opponents that showed up and run a version of option football versus us. So it's not unfamiliar territory, right? I think the unique part of this would be, I know their staff. I know Coach Newberry well. We've crossed paths many times in our life as friends, as coaches, as comparing notes. To be honest, and so there's certainly some things that we all don't know about each other, but there's probably a lot we do know about each other's programs that makes this probably a little more unique and a little more closer to what they would feel like going into a game versus their rivals, Air Force or Army. I think that's probably the unique part of this.
This football coach, again, similar offenses, but playing the military academy is a little different.
It is.
Can you talk about that?
Well, I think it's incredibly special, right? I said it yesterday on my podcast that I'm honored to be a part of such a game, and I'm honored to be playing there, right? There's a lot of history there. What our men and women do in service, I've talked about this before in my interviews. I'm incredibly grateful. It is people like that allow all of us to do the things we dearly love to do. So I am grateful. I'm honored to be in this game and this rivalry. And the challenge is big ahead of us. but I'm excited for the opportunity that our program has to go on the road, right? To build on the momentum that we've now established. Understand how hard that would be, but it is a good opportunity, now that we take on such a program like Navy.
Very similar question that was just asked of you, but in terms of playing a team like that, what do you take from it? What can you do with it? And I know time of possession is going to be a big deal. Can you kind of talk about that?
Yeah, well, I think there's a couple kind of things that I think everyone has to understand, right? Here's what I would tell you first, and I've told our players this. They play incredibly hard with a ton of intensity and physicality, and we have to match that effort and physicality. Those are things we can control. Now, will we control them? That's up to us. And I think they're an incredibly talented Navy team. I've watched Navy up close and from afar for a long time, and I think this is an incredibly talented group. Offensively, they in the key spots, they're old, they're veterans, they're incredibly comfortable in their scheme, right? And they have talented kids that are running the system. So incredibly dangerous there. Defense, they graduated a few more kids, but they have a great system in place. And Brian Newberry's a defensive coach, and that shouldn't surprise everybody, right? That, it's such a great reputation as a defense coordinator before he built his reputation as a head coach too. And for them, they have a system that fits them, and they've plugged in the next guys to fit them. And they play incredibly hard. They're talented. So, that's the challenges that are ahead for us. We have to match the things that we know we can match, which is their effort, their physicality, right? And we have to do it for 4 quarters. And then we have to execute at a high level on both sides of the football, right? Which, on the road in a hostile environment, right? I get excited about that, right? I think for coaches going on the road in a hostile environment, and I told our players this last week, like, I love that. Like Thursday night at Charlotte, what a great crowd, right? Open the season in Louisiana, they have a brand new stadium. To me, that just energizes us too, if we allow it to. And so, for myself and our staff, looking ahead, we understand the challenges that it is, but we also are excited for the opportunity that we're going to have as a program to once again kind of be on the national stage, right? Everybody turns in to watch. They tune in to watch Navy on CBS or ESPN, wherever they're playing that week, and it won't be any different, right? And so, it's just a nice bit of the schedule that we're able now back-to-back weeks to kind of put our program out on a national stage to see how we measure up.
Just curious, any personal or family connections to the Navy you have, Coach?
No, not at all. Our connections come through some really good friendships that we both built while at Washington Lee University. So Brian Newberry was a defense coordinator at Washington Lee University years ago. We didn't cross paths. We missed each other by a year. And then through the coaching world, we crossed each other quite a bit. But he visited back to Washington Lee some. I've spent time with the academy, picking their brain, them picking my brain, to be honest, right through the years. And so, there won't be a ton of surprises, right? I would venture to say, which, could be good or bad, right? We got to make sure that we're ready to execute what we do at a high level and really focus on what we can control. And that's kind of one of my talking pieces each week. What are we capable of? What can we control? And then can we control that to the best of our ability?
About your offense and how they're really picking it up, Q Jackson. I better not forget about this big guy.
Look at him. Come on.
But in terms of your offense, you talk about that, how they're picking up
I think each week we grow. I think each week we take a next step forward. As a coach, you always want to see it grow faster or quicker. But that I stand in front of you saying, here we are, week 4. We've been able to now put back-to-back games together where we were productive. We showed more, explosive opportunities last game than we had previously in any other game. We got out and got running. I think the next step is, can we find that consistency button that we're doing that more often? I was as frustrated last week as I've been too, and that won't surprise Q-Jack when I say that, right? Only because, I always talk about lost opportunities, lost plays out there. we had too many of those last week, right? When we executed, man, it looked great, right? The first drive up and down the field, the last drive before the half, the 2-minute drill, right? Couldn't have drawn it up better. Come out the half, man, go right down the field. And that shows me what we're capable of all the time. And that's my expectation. And I don't say that to put pressure on our guys, because I think playing football is hard and executing at an elite level is really hard, but that should be our goal. And then, so how can we close the gap on that? That's what we focus on now, is how do we close that gap on a few less of those lapses in a game, whether it's, a penalty for per se, or somebody going in the wrong direction, or a missed assignment, whatever the case is, a bad read. How do we close the gap on those plays so they happen less frequently? And I do see that happening. And I see us executing, like we're executing things we couldn't execute 3 or 4 weeks ago. And that shows up. And, getting your guys the ball in space has been really important to me. And we've been able to do that. And so, we'll continue to grow. As I said, probably week one of the exciting parts for me on the offensive side is the offense looks different every step of the way for me. And I think you're starting to see this take on a little different identity already here than maybe what, people always think it might look like, which is exciting. And we'll see how that continues to grow.
Can you clarify that a little bit? A little bit different identity
Sure,
than folks
yeah.
might have expected. What is that identity becoming in your eyes?
Well, so coming in, I think, people see it as a triple option offense, right? And as this thing evolves, right, you see us utilizing triple. There's no doubt about it, right? But you're seeing some explosive plays come through, some double option concepts, speed option, right? Some double read stuff. We were, last game, we read a second level linebacker for an inside run fit or an outside fit, right? So it was an outside concept. You see Q-Jack often running first play of the game or second play, I can't remember, down our sideline. It was an inside run read from a backer, a second level guy, right? Great read by Chase. Not necessarily triple, but when I say, hey, we're gun choice, we're going to take what the defense, that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. And that's where, I think we'll continue to grow and evolve to what, programs at this level are going to show us week in and week out. And the important part for us is continue to grow the toolbox so we can go grab the right tool for whatever we're being shown. And I think that is probably not the difficult part right now, but it is our challenge. Here we are in the MC of installing a new offense and trying to get all the tools in the toolbox so we can now go grab them as we need them.
Last one, on film, what do you see about Navy quarterback Blake Horvath?
Well, listen, it's going to give me the opportunity to talk about two things. One, an offense I incredibly respect. I think they're talented. I think they're coached incredibly well in all phases, offense, defense, and team. And they have a very, very veteran group on offense that, you have a senior quarterback that's probably able to make adjustments as quick as his offense coordinator, right? He's incredibly intelligent and he's really athletic. He doesn't get enough credit for the type of athlete and the type of quarterback he is, right? People see him in that system. They think, oh, he's a good athlete. He's a triple option guy. I think he's a really good quarterback. He's a kid I remember watching coming out of high school. I had my eye on him from Davidson, which obviously he went bigger. And I think they give us a lot to defend, right? There's a lot in there. They're older, right? They've been in their system now some time and they're comfortable. Now for us defensively, I couldn't be prouder of what we've done defensively, right? And I don't think our defense gets enough credit. They're not talked about enough, and how they're executing at a high level, flying to the football, right? Doing things to give other offenses headaches. So it will be a chess match. There's no doubt about it. But it's going to be a challenge for our defense. But there's no doubt in my mind that our group will be up and ready for that challenge.
All right, we'll take a question online. Steve, go ahead.
Hey, Coach. So many of your long runs last game, you'd see Nate Bledsoe down the field with a lead block. Bledsoe didn't even play the last 2 seasons, and now he's looking really impactful on that offensive line. What has his journey to this point been like?
Well, I'll start by kind of referencing something that we talk about in the program a lot. Like, are you ready? Is the next man ready when his opportunity comes? So Stickley injured a couple weeks ago, and Stickley will be back. It's a day-to-day, week-to-week thing. But Nate got called into live action against Prairie View and did really well. Last week picked up right where we left off, and it's a real credit to him and Coach Munch that he was prepared for that moment. And Nate is a guy that I know our strength staff talked about all offseason, how he showed up in the weight room, how hard he worked, and now that's paying off for him on the football field. Incredibly proud of that, and that shows another. People have asked us about our culture and how people have bought in, and how quickly it's happened. And part of that is not just how excited they are to play here and getting involved in the weight room, but the next man up piece, right? Because football season is a long season. He won't be the last guy that has to come in and play pivotal roles and key moments in the game. Joe Chavez last week on defense, right? Had to come in at safety early on and played the rest of the game and had a great game. Played really well. Once again, another example of next man up mentality that our guys have bought into, because it's not easy waiting for your opportunity in sports, right? We all have egos. We all think we're ready to play right now, and you kind of want your players to have that mentality. But simple way, you can only play 11 at a time. And so having guys ready is important. Really proud of Nate.
Andrew, you have a question?
Hey, Coach, kind of a double-edged question here, but just if you could speak a little bit to the significance of having the fastest start at Rice since 2001, but on the other end of that, kind of keeping the players from getting satisfied and staying focused for the next game.
So the first part of that, I give a lot of credit when you talk about, the fastest start we've had or the fastest start that, a new staff has had since 67 or something. I just give a ton of credit to the people in the building, right, that we've surrounded the program with, really not myself, but, the players, let's talk about Blake, who you guys are going to get an opportunity to talk with here in a minute, but guys that said they want to stay here and be a part of this, that could have had other choices, could have gone elsewhere. Them buying in from day one. I give so much of the roster credit that their belief in what our vision was and their belief in that what Rice football could be. And then, the staff and the support staff that we brought in, surround the program with, I think they deserve so much credit to our start. And it wasn't an easy start, right? We've been on the road twice. We played Louisiana, Charlotte on Thursday night. And those are two huge road wins for us. So I'm proud of it. But at the same time, I tell the guys every week, short memory, it really, no one really cares. So, it's nice to read about it. It's a good PR piece, but at the end of the day, we really are concerned with, how do we go 1-0 this week? That's the most important stat. And hopefully that answers the second part of that. Like, the message to the guys are, how do we go 1-0 this week? And how short is your memory? Because Thursday night has gone. It has left us. The Charlotte game's over. No one's talking about it anymore. And all anyone will talk about is the next game. And for us, that's Navy.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep.
All right, anything else? All right, thanks, Coach.
Appreciate you guys. Go Owls.
You come on up.
How you guys doing?
All right, from your perspective, we've talked all season about the offense growing. What did it feel like on Thursday? And can you see and kind of feel the progression week to week?
I see the progression every single day. At practice, we're ready to work. We have high energy. But one thing we need to work on is just being consistent and finishing drives. I know it's really hard learning a new offense, but once we learn how to finish drives and being consistent, I think we'll be a really dangerous offense here to come. But I see improvement every single day. People are willing to learn, and just like Coach mentioned, the next man up mentality. Everybody's from 1, 2s to 3s. Everybody's working, trying to improve in that craft. So I think we're improving every single day.
And we've talked about the good start, but if y'all win this weekend, you'd be first place in the American Conference. What does that opportunity mean to you, especially for how long you've been here and what you've come
Yeah. I think it means a lot, but we're not really worried about that right now. If we keep winning, it will come, but we're just worried about going 1-0 this week. And then if we keep going on 1-0, we'll be where we want, and that'll be a conference championship. But we really haven't paid no attention to, conference being in first place. That stuff really doesn't matter to us, but we just worried about going 1-0 and then 1-0 the next week.
I know that players, oftentimes they want to look at what other players on the other side are doing. sometimes. And you guys are playing an offense that's going to look somewhat like yours. Any intrigue in that? Any thought about that?
Oh, for sure. It's always good to learn from your peers, even if it's an opponent, they've been running that offense for a very long time. So it's good to pick up on running backs. Sometimes I'll look at the offense during the film, the opponent offense during the film, see what the running back is doing and how they're reading their holes, might be a different scheme. But this time, like they feel comfortable in that offense. They've been running for a long time. So it's good to pick up on little things, nuances that they do. So it's always good to learn from your peers. You can't be too above on yourself thinking you're this and you're that, but it's always good to learn from your peers to how you can improve your game.
I got a two-part question for you. Number one, Nate Bledsoe, which was mentioned earlier, man, we saw him a lot, out front, lead blocker. That was great. I want to ask you about that. And then two, playing Navy. What's that like for you?
Yeah, Nate is my guy. He's worked his tail off ever since his freshman year. When he's got here, he did a heck of a job on Thursday night. It's not hard. It's hard, especially on a short week coming in, knowing you're going to play, and this is your first career start at that. And he did an amazing job. It was good to see him when I first played the second play of the game. I believe him pulling, him making the block. So as the game grew, he got comfortable, and I'm just so proud of Nate because he's worked so hard for this opportunity. He took advantage of that. And the second question, it means a lot to play Navy. Those guys do a lot for our country, and we're very thankful for that. They have a lot of tough things on their plate. I was getting recruited by the military services as well, so I know what the day-to-day looks like, and it's very challenging to do all that and do school and then come play football. So it means a lot. Serving our country and playing football at a high level is a very hard thing to do. So I'm just very grateful for those guys.
And then I asked you about your offense. I want to ask you about your defense. What's it like knowing that y'all have, are on your progression, getting to where you want to be able to go to the sideline and see those guys step up on the other side of the field and see them shut it down? Yeah,
that defense is amazing. As an offense, we kind of put them in bad spots. They might have a long drive and they get a stop and we go 3 and out. So I feel like our next job is how can we help the defense get more rest and doing more drives and go longer drives. But the defense has been amazing so far. They've been amazing all my 3 to 4 years here. So I had no doubt when they're on that field, they're going to get a stop. Have no doubt. And they're encouraged us on the sidelines, even when we're going through our tough times. They're encouraged us like, y'all going to bust one, y'all going to bust one. So I think the offense and the defense has a great relationship. We're in it together and we want to win ball games, but defense so far has been lights out and stellar. And I had no doubt in my mind there will be like this coming into the season.
Steve, you have any questions? All right. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Blake?
What's up? What's up?
I want to ask you about your defense. I know y'all came in after posting one of the better defenses in the conference a year ago. You came in with high expectations. Where do you think y'all are with those expectations through 4 games?
Like you said, they're very high expectations. I feel like there's definitely still room to improve, and there's always going to be room for that. I feel like we've gotten off to a good start, but like Coach K always says, there's always things we can do better and the little things that we can do better. So really just focusing on like the minor details of our defense. I know we're not getting any, no complacency around here, but just we're continue to focus on getting better every week and just really improving. Like one big thing we got to improve on is turnovers. So like really just doing little drills and finding little tactics that we can do to improve that. And then again, it's just not being complacent on where we're at and just keep on getting better every day.
And then defensively, y'all fared pretty well against this team. A lot of those same players on offense for Navy a year ago. How much of that do you draw on this time around?
Yeah, I feel like it's a good baseline to start off with. It's like last year, but then again, it also is last year. They're not the same team. We're not the same team. So then again, like schematic wise, you look at the kind of break down the same stuff and how we played that last year, and they're going to come out and run new stuff this year too. So we just build on like what we did last year and just kind of feed on that, and really just also pick apart the things that we did bad and how we can improve in those areas as well. So,
Got to ask you this though. So it's got to be a little easier playing against a team when you practice against the same or similar type offense every day. Talk about that.
Oh yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it's easy. Nothing's easy in this game, but yeah, definitely. I think for me personally, I'd say it takes out a little bit of the frustration. Like going to the spring. Our offense would go and I'd get blocked from some dude I didn't even know that was coming. So like that helped me see the blocking patterns and stuff. And really just that frustration part of it is just going out there. You can't really play this like the normal teams you want to play. You have to be a lot more. I wouldn't say cautious, but you have to react in a certain different way. But yeah, like you said, an offense or going against an offense that's similar to them all spring and all fall camp, that's kind of helped us out. But so we just kind of like build off of that and kind of start off with where offense has helped us become.
You've been the Army, not been the Navy. Talk about going up there to play them. A little different than playing them here. Talk about that. And what are you thinking?
Can you repeat that? Sorry, I didn't.
Yeah, you going to Navy to play them, to play at Navy. Talk about playing at Navy and how, I guess, excited you are about that.
Yeah, no, it's a special place. I know, like you said, been in the Army last year, and that was very special seeing what those guys got over there and a lot of the history behind that. And, like this opportunity to go play up in Navy and see that side of the stuff, see the Naval Academy and stuff. And he's very excited and have the utmost respect for those guys and everything that they do and for our country and for us as well.
Any differences that you see between last year's Navy team and this year's Navy team play?
I feel like what Coach Abell kind of hinted on, these guys they're older, they're experienced. I see a lot more of the experience, especially in the quarterback. And like you, Jack, was saying, these guys have run that offense for a long time. So just seeing that kind of the seasoned, experienced guys just executing their job even a little bit better this year. So that's kind of what I'm seeing more as I'm studying film is just they're executing at a higher level and they're more just being more physical and doing the stuff that they're told to do. So.
And then at the top, Coach Abell talked about you as one of the guys who stuck around and bought in. What's it like it's a long season, but through 4 games to kind of see, a quicker return than you've had yet at your time here at Rice? Shoot,
it didn't take those 4 games to see that return. Like you said, from day one, first week we were in here, I was like, okay, it's going to be different. It's going to be a lot better. But, just to see that the fruits of our labor are finally coming in and we're getting these wins that we so hardly work for. It's just great. It's great to see the looks on the guy's face. I was talking, I forgot exactly who it was, but it's just like we were talking about. It's so much better to be on the flip side of things. Like being on the winning side, and none of this stuff's a surprise. The work that we put in and like what Coach Lou and staff and the strength department has done for us. It's just a great thing to witness, and we're just getting started.
Anything else, Steve? You got a question? All right, we're done. Thank you, Blake.
Sweet. Thank y'all.
And we will see you either in person or on our post-game Zoom.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Blake, well done. The hair was fantastic. The hair, I mean, seriously. You gotta get a note about the hair. I mean, ask him about the hair. I mean, come on, look at it. Okay, Lord. My hair. It's time to work.